For the second segment of this episode, episode 39 of Morning Kickoff, we're going to be talking about the most improved team from the 2020 offseason. A lot of teams made big moves. There was a lot of big moves. I've never seen this many free agent quarterbacks, big name free agent quarterbacks entering the free agent market, and it's made these teams just completely change. You know what team is going for a Super Bowl next year, and you know what team is just ready to tank next year. And it's interesting to see. I've picked three teams that I think are the highest ones, and we're going to go 3, 2, 1 to start, and ending off with the most improved team from this 2020 offseason, in my opinion. And number 3, we're going to be saying the LA Chargers. LA Chargers, I have talked a lot about on this channel. I've said Justin Herbert was an awful pick. We aren't going to be talking much on Justin Herbert, but outside of that, they added a lot of new pieces. Last year, they were not good at offensive line. It's the reason why they were so bad last year was because of their offensive line. Phillip Rivers was pressured just about on every play, intercepted, forced to throw into double coverage. Their offensive line held them back last year. Now, with that being said, though, they had a lot of offensive playmakers. Keenan Allen looked great, and then they also had Austin Eckler looking really good. Mike Williams and Hunter Henry are also reliable pieces that they had in their offense. So they had great playmakers, terrible offensive line, and Phillip Rivers, who knows how he actually is. Who really knows how great Phillip Rivers is, because he didn't have a chance to prove it last year. He didn't have a chance to prove it at all. He had no time under center, and he got pressured on every play. Austin Eckler is one of my favorite running backs in the league. You can use him on just about every kind of play you want. Keenan Allen is a great route runner. And then Mike Williams and Hunter Henry are reliable pieces. So for Justin Herbert to go into this offense, it's a great place for him to go because they fixed that offensive line, and there's still so many playmakers on offense. Now, of course, they lost Melvin Gordon, who was their starting running back. Austin Eckler is just better in all ways, shapes, and forms. So who really cares that they lost Melvin Gordon? But still, that's a great place for Justin Herbert to go. I did not like the pick, but it's a great place for him to go. And I don't even think he's going to be starting, too. I think that he will be sitting behind Tyrod Taylor. I think he's going to be sitting behind Tyrod Taylor, which is a weird pick. You don't take a quarterback 6th overall and bench him for the first season. Well, I mean, you can, but if you're trying to go for a Super Bowl, which clearly they are because they added all these players, they're trying to win. You don't take a quarterback 6th overall and bench him if you're trying to win. I mean, that's okay if you're just going to rebuild in the future, but that's not how they're going right now. I mean, they brought in Linval Joseph, defensive tackle, fixing a piece on their team. Chris Harris Jr. helping the secondary. They brought in Try Turner and Brian Bulaga to fix their offensive line. Mike Pouncey's coming back, Mike Pouncey's coming back, so their offensive line is still looking good. They drafted Justin Herbert and Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray is a great player coming out of college, inside linebacker from Oklahoma. I think he was a great pick. Although, was trading up for him really good player? Kenneth Murray is not a player you want to trade up for because of his injury concerns. I don't think trading up for him was a good pick at all, but still, great inside linebacker. If he works, that's a great pick, and that's going to help the LA Chargers a lot. So I thought that they had to go rebuild mode this year. I thought that it was, after how they looked last year, it was time for them to go full rebuild mode, but clearly they want to go for a Super Bowl, which is kind of weird considering they're in a division with the Kansas City Chiefs. How can you even compete when you're going against the Kansas City Chiefs in your division? I don't know why they're going for that, but we'll see how it looks. We will see how it looks. I think it's weird, but we'll see. And then number 2 is another team I've been talking about a lot, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. I think that they're going to sign Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas was just recently dropped by the Baltimore Ravens, and this is a really good spot for Earl Thomas to go. Now let's look at the moves that they made. Obviously highlighted by their biggest decision, grabbing Phillip Rivers to fill in for Jacoby Brissett, really to fill in for Andrew Luck, though, because Jacoby Brissett was supposed to be a backup piece, and that's all he is, really. He's a great quarterback. But at the best, he's only a good backup piece. I don't think he's a starting quarterback at all. So he's obviously filling in for Andrew Luck at the end of the day because Jacoby Brissett is just a good backup piece. That's all he is. He's a great filler piece that you want to use on your team if your quarterback goes down. So was it a good decision to take Phillip Rivers? I would say probably, because I don't know why, again, the Indianapolis Colts, I don't know why they're also going for a Super Bowl. They're in a really easy division, though. That's the thing. They have the easiest schedule in the entire NFL, and they're in an easy division, so it makes sense why they're going for a Super Bowl. And they look like a threat. They look like a threat in the AFC now. Of course, again, there's the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC, but still, Colts could beat them. They look like a threat. They could get home field advantage in the playoffs, considering how easy their schedule is and their division. I mean, the Texans are not good anymore. Tennessee Titans, who even knows how good Ryan Tannehill is? I don't think he's that great. And then Jags are the worst division in the worst team in the entire NFL. Now, that's not the only move that they made, though. Of course, trading with the 49ers, they got DeForest Buckner. They had to give up their first-round draft pick. They didn't really need that first-round draft pick, to be honest. They had a lot of, great pieces already. They didn't really need that first round draft pick, but trading for DeForest Buckner was a little bit weird. Now, of course, DeForest Buckner was probably the best player on the defensive line from the 49ers, considering they had an amazing defensive line. They had, I have a list here. Yeah, of course, Eric Armstead, D Ford, and Nick Bosa also on that defensive line. So that defensive line was unstoppable with the 49ers. Now, DeForest Buckner's a good pick for them. I felt like a defensive tackle was very needed for them. They could have got a defensive tackle in the second round, though. I don't think giving up your first round draft pick was a big need for them, but still, it's DeForest Buckner, one of the best defensive tackles in the league. There's not much to say that. There's not much to hate about that there. And then they drafted Michael Pittman Jr. Obviously, they needed a wide receiver. Now they have T.Y. Hilton, one of the best wide receivers in the league. I think they brought in who did they bring in? They brought in a new tight end too. I can't remember. But now Phillip Rivers behind that offensive line. That is a great offensive line, one of the best in the entire NFL. And Phillip Rivers now has a chance to prove himself. Like I said, he did not have it last year. He did not have a chance to prove himself last year if he is still a good quarterback. Now he does. He has Michael Pittman on the offense. He has, of course, T.Y. Hilton, amazing wide receiver. And then Eric Ebron. He has, they brought in Jonathan Taylor too. They drafted Jonathan Taylor, I think that was second or third round. Jonathan Taylor was my best running back coming out of college. I loved Jonathan Taylor a lot. I think he's bulky running back that can just run through guys, break tackles. He is what I want in a running back, and that is a great spot for him to go, considering I'm not very high on Marlon Mack. I did not ever think Marlon Mack was a good running back, yeah, but I don't think he should still be a starting running back for the team. So Jonathan Taylor taking his role is a great spot for him to go. Michael Pittman Jr., he can do anything T.Y. Hilton can't. He is a great inside the slot, and I think they will use him inside the slot because he's dominant in the slot. So that's a great pick for him to go as well. So they drafted really well, considering they gave up their first-round draft pick for DeForest Buckner. They still made a lot of moves for their team. Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman are great pieces for their offense. Their defense is still decent. And then they also brought in, Trey Burton. That's a tight end that they brought. The Trey Burton from the Bears. Now they will probably be running more 2 tight end sets. I mean, that's kind of what you want in the NFL now. I mean, tight ends are becoming a very viable position for every team. And then they also added Xavier Rhodes on the defense, which, of course, I'm a Vikings fan. I have been a fan of Xavier Rhodes. This last season, I was not a fan at all about Xavier Rhodes. But Chris Ballard seems to be the head coach. No, GM for the Colts. He seems to be a big fan of Xavier Rhodes. I don't see it. I don't know why. Of course, I was saying Xavier Rhodes could be a slot corner, and that would make a lot more sense for him, but who knows? I think him being a slot corner is a lot better for him, and it would be hard for the Vikings to play him inside the slot because of how much they were paying him. You want him to be an outside corner. So who knows? Xavier Rhodes might work. Now he's not having to get paid as much as he was, so even if he doesn't work, it's not that bad of a pick. And now the most improved team this offseason, I feel like everyone will be agreeing on this, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, obviously grabbing Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. Who knows if Rob Gronkowski is still a top tight end in the league? If he will still be a top tight end in the league, but of course, he's the best tight end of all time, in my opinion. I think he has to be the best tight end of all time. And then Tom Brady, who is on record, when you look at his numbers, the best quarterback of all time, bringing into this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, who is already a great offense. They have already been an amazing offense with, of course, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and O.J. Howard. That is a great three. That's why Jameis Winston had so many yards last year. He had amazing targets to throw to. Now, of course, he's a terrible passer. He can definitely work on that. He had great targets to throw to, and that's why they passed on every play. I think they brought in a running back too. I think they have brought in a running back as well, which is what they needed. They didn't really have much of a run game last year. Their pass game was great. Their defense is great. They're ready to win a Super Bowl. They are. With Rob Gronkowski, again, joining that offense, another threat for Tom Brady to throw to. Tom Brady obviously being better than Jameis Winston. And then they also brought in Tristan Wirfs for the offensive line. They needed help on the offensive line as well. I forgot to mention that. They needed help on the offensive line. Bringing in Tristan Wirfs was great. Who knows how he's going to look? He's going to get the starting role out of college, which is what is well-deserved. I mean, that's what they needed. And then also my guy, Antoine Winfield Jr., in the second round, played for the Gophers, son of Antoine Winfield. They could also they could also grab Earl Thomas, though. I think Buccaneers could also grab Earl Thomas and have him with Antoine Winfield. That would make a lot of sense as well. Who is the most improved team from the 2020 offseason? Let me know. Who would your top 3 be? What do you disagree with? What do you agree with? Let me know.